Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out last week. We didn't really have time to play it. You had played like an hour before the show. Wanted to wait until you spent some more time with it. The reviews, people seem to be loving the game.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a big fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I think that was one of the best JRPGs in years. I like Xenoblade Chronicles X, although I thought the anime stuff got a little overbearing in places. But I kind of was able to get past that in the sense that like the environment and the world was so interesting to explore. And I played that for like 40 hours, and I finally got my mech, and I realized that the mech just made everything more annoying.
Yeah.
And I kind of tapered off. This game has all the anime nonsense plus some, and scales back the interesting world. I don't like this game very much.
Wow.
I think the
Matt, I mean, you're a huge Xenoblade fan.
Oh yeah. But this is I did a little digging and research, and like basically this game is made by the B team at Monolith. They brought in a lot of.
Well, we were wondering how are they going to get this game done.
They brought in a lot of help from Tri-Ace because a lot of the people that made the first game what it was got pulled over to Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you've played both Xenoblade 1 and Breath of the Wild, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of Tri-Ace talent on this, which maybe explains why the characters look like they escaped from a canceled Star Ocean game.
Yeah, they do.
And it's real standard anime nonsense a lot of times without the mitigating factor of this big world to explore and these interesting things to see, because like the environments just seem a little more folded in than there's still interesting stuff, and there's still imaginative monsters, and there's still like open spaces to run around in, but I just don't feel like it's not at the scale and it's not at the level of the last two games. Because even if you hated every single story element of Xenoblade Chronicles X, you stepped out into that world and you're like, wow, this looks like an alien biome. I mean, there's so many interesting things to look at and see in that world, and there's not so much of that in this game. Not so far anyway. I'm 16 hours in, and one of the menu items is still blanked out. So I mean, it's not a small game. And
I don't think you suspected it was.
The combat's still good. Like the combat is solid and more or less like I think because they've added this thing where I guess we could just
let's just get to it. So we're going to do a play view. The combat system in this game is...
combat system is very is intricate in the sense that like there's a lot of stuff to do all the time. This is in the first major city you come to, so it's an early area. So what you see here, the kid in blue is Rex. He's the main character. The girl in the stripper outfit is is the human personification of the sword on his back. So each of these, the characters here, the girl in the yellow is a real person, and the little potato-looking bird Ewok thing is a real thing. And then the cat and the little robo girl, they're the personifications of their weapons. They're called blades. So people who have a blade, they are called drivers. There's a driver and their blade, and the blade kind of stands back and like shoots like a beam of energy at you during a fight, and that's where you get your abilities to do like fancy things. And like a whole lot of the blades are like hot chicks for reasons.
Surprise!
Well, it is a surprise to me because that hasn't really been part of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 at all. Like they didn't have that in Xenoblade Chronicles. They had it in
every
X.
other Japanese game.
But X had a lot of skimpy clothing and nonsense like that. But
controversially skimpy clothing.
So that's how you get your resources. But this is the first area with real actual open zones you can run around in, and it's very influenced by MMOs. So everybody's got a different level. Wander into the wrong area, and you're gonna have to fight like higher level guys, and they will kill you. Like if you wander the wrong place, things go. And then, matter of fact, somewhere around here, I don't see them.
At least they're clearly labeled, though.
They can be, but like the size of the enemy is an issue. So somewhere around here, there's a giant ape. There he is. So he's level 81.
He's just running around the level 9 and 10s.
And if you encounter him in the wrong place, he will one-shot you. He is also, if you see that little like that curly thing behind the level thing. You see that little icon? That means he's a unique, which means he's even more powerful than a normal level 81.
Oh, geez.
So if he hits me, he'll take off like something like 8,000 hit points in one go, and I think
is it easy for that to happen, or
yes,
it is?
If you're not paying attention to your surrounding, because he makes like a circuit around here, and if you're not paying attention to what's happening, he will just come through and kill you.
Because in some ways, it's good to kind of entice you with the higher level enemies, as long as you know they're not going to slaughter you. What is the detriment to dying?
Nothing. You basically start at your last fast travel point. And there's a lot of them. You don't really miss anything. So here we go. We're just going to start killing wolves. So you sit here and you auto attack. The other two guys fight kind of on their own. You have these your abilities are in the lower right there, and you see that little pop there. So if I use one during a combo, that little pop, that thing happens, and I get to a little bonus on my damage. So, and
how much control do you have over the other two people attacking?
Very little. So so periodically you'll see on the sides the like that there says Aqua. So I can hit ZR and she will use her super attack thing. And depending on, so that shows like which kind of super attacks you're gonna.
And they're both mapped to the shoulder buttons.
The two triggers.
Yeah.
And then so I can activate that, and then I can activate my own. So this is my own super move, which will work in conjunction with theirs to create different effects. So like if I use because I'm fire, so if I use fire and then she uses heat, we'll get like a steam bomb thing that will do a little extra damage.
So there are kind of elemental sort of tag team.
There are elemental things, and then if you use like on certain enemies, you use them high enough, and like they'll become immune. So like you'll see like that Aqua thing now. That enemy is resistant to Aqua for a time.
Why is that though?
Because it wasn't complicated enough as it was. Because
it just randomly happens, or is there a reason why all of a sudden
you
use it once and then they have a resistance?
Yeah, and then like
so it keeps you from spamming the same attack.
You can't just spam, and then like you'll see a little tree appear in the upper right, and that will kind of like dictate.
Look at that HUD, dude.
Yeah, it's just constant.
It is just cluttered.
Their algorithm's gonna see this shit no problem. Like,
I mean, look at that right now. That whole screen is just covered with something. It's insane. How long does it take you to really kind of get the hang of it?
Well, they ease you into it pretty well, but it doesn't explain a lot of stuff very well. So I'm not even sure I'm totally right about what I'm telling you right now, if I'm being honest. But I'm not dying, and that's all I care about.
Right,
you know what I mean? And there's still, if you look at the, I can't go to the menu right now, but I will once this fight. And then you'll see like we pulled a bunch of extra wolves in on this, like during and you got to run around and pick up stuff. Like physically or before it disappears.
Oh, it does disappear.
It can disappear. So there's a lot of that going on. How
is the leveling as far as like?
It's fine. It's
paced well.
It's paced okay, and actually they give you a lot of control over that because we got more attacks. Somebody came in. Okay, more
wolves.
So it's actually paced in an interesting way because. So what happens is when you do side quests and stuff, you get you get items and you get gold and stuff. You get XP, but that XP is not actually. I can do a super here with the cutscene here. So this is your level 4 move.
So how do you trigger that? What does it take to?
You just have to keep using your arts, your moves down there, and you'll see. So you see, I use that, and you'll see the square on the right. Yeah. That is the super move.
Oh, okay.
With your blade art thing. So the more I use that, it'll fill. So now you see it says 1.
Right.
So now the more I do that, it'll fill up to a maximum of 4, and 4 is your kind of cutscene super move thing. And they're all of a various form of what you call it. QTE stuff. There's always going to be a little, and some.
Like you had to jam the B button there.
Yeah, and also if you let your companions save up their super stuff, like during boss fights and stuff, they will use cutscene like related super moves that like you have to do the same kind of QTEs on. So the boss fights can actually get pretty crazy.
I bet.
And pretty long. Like I've had a couple of long fights.
I mean, these fights, just to hack up a couple of wolves, it takes forever.
It's just going and going and going. And these guys are level 9. I'm level 20.
Wow.
I mean, this is how long this is taking.
Oh, wow.
And actually, that's a good tip if you are going to play this. Early on, you're kind of set off into this like when a character gets kidnapped and somebody's missing, and you're kind of set loose in this area. And I started trying to do side quests just with Rex and just got housed.
Really?
Like you are
Dude,
not.
these enemies have so many hit points.
Yeah, you are not supposed to be out here without at least 2 other companions, really. So be aware that, like, you know, if you're like me and you want to like complete everything before you move on, you're probably not gonna be able to do that in a lot of cases.
Interesting. Does that drive you crazy?
It's all right. So the side quests give you XP, and the trick is it doesn't apply it directly to your character. There goes Big Dude back there.
I mean, he could have just walked in there and just destroyed you guys.
So it applies the XP from the quests and the side quests to your character, and you don't get access to that unless you go sleep at an inn. And then you get to choose to level up your characters with that extra XP. And the idea is that it's there if you want to like overpower your character, or if you want to kind of have more of a challenge, you can not level them up with that XP and you know, stay at a lower level.
So you only really get one sort of super attack. Is always the same one.
Yeah. At least so far, but the trick is that, like, so the blade thing, you know, like I said, like everybody's got these blades. If this fight ever finishes, I will show you.
Wolves, dude.
And I don't even.
Sorry, these wolves.
Wolves, yeah. And I don't even like. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, and that's why we're getting, you know, it's taking so long. I don't really know. Like, but all I know is.
Does the game not do a great job of teaching you all this stuff?
I don't think it does. I don't feel like it does. And there is actually a vendor where like you can buy tips for things, but I haven't done that because I'm low on money.
You have to pay in-game currency for tips.
And we got another wolf. Like I don't see.
You must be near like a spawn point or something.
Maybe, but like that shouldn't. You shouldn't.
What was that right there? That QTE.
That was like a low-level super
okay.
I used because I just want to set them on fire so I can get a little extra damage off.
Got ya.
So like you'll see here, so like I'm doing that thing. I popped like so. There's no healing skills really.
Really?
What it is you'll see like health potions will just pop out of the enemies, and so like the idea is like you have certain arts that are guaranteed to create a health potion. The problem comes when. Like,
oh my God! Did you kill them? No, there's still one left.
There's still one left. The problem comes when you're fighting like in a lot of like the weird geography because you know you're fighting up on cliffs and everything. Those potions can just fall off the cliff and stuff. Like
that drove me crazy in Breath of the Wild too. How stuff after you kill an enemy, it can just fall down a cliff and it's just gone.
And like it's just there's a constant polish problem with this game. I think it is one of the most unpolished. It feels rushed. It feels like one of the most unpolished things I've ever seen Nintendo publish.
So maybe it shouldn't have come out.
Maybe
we were
not.
Right by saying it won't come out this year.
And it's weird. And like constantly stuff's getting stuck in geometry. Stuff's falling through the world.
Oh really? That's very rare for a Nintendo game.
It's extremely weird. Normally this kind of stuff does not make it through Nintendo's.
You would also think too that hey, we got Mario coming out. Do we really need this? Why not push it back to March?
You know, as much as I wanted to play this, I feel like that's a valid question.
Yeah.
Like it's still going. It really it's still.
Yeah, the wolves will not stop.
Can't kill all the wolves. I swear.
So Matt,
is that it? More? Oh, you. Okay, we're moving over here.
Yeah, I think you're in a spawn area or something where they just keep spawning.
But you see what I mean? Like I've never run into that before. Like there we go.
Maybe go to like the level up screen.
Yeah,
so everyone can see it.
So let me show. I'll just show you this. So so you got your character and their blade, and this is another blade I've equipped. So you can get more blades, loot box style, if everybody's ready for that. So what you do is you can go to your blades and you go to Bond Blade, and I'm gonna get a new. So you can pick one of these two because the other character I'll get into, but that is. So these are the common. There's rare. There's very rare. And you can boost them using these like little extra things that you pick up. I haven't really figured out like the significance of that. So you do this, and he'll open this thing, and they could have microtransaction this. I'm surprised that you don't get these through amiibos.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that like you can't use amiibos and get like Metroid themed like blades or like Zelda themed.
That would have been smart, actually. That'd have been a good
Maybe
idea.
they didn't have time to get it in. So here we go. So now this blade came out of this. He's got a sword. This is not a rare blade. He's just sort of a standard gray guy.
Quite an elaborate entrance.
Oh yeah, they do it up.
This gives me a little bit of a Persona vibe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So you can set him however you want. I'm not going to right now. You've got a Blade album. So these are all the rare ones. And you can see there's silhouettes. Most of them are hot girls.
Again, reminds me a lot of Persona.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real anime. Look at that. That's some Sailor Moon shit right there. So this one seems to have a guitar or a broom.
Yeah, Flying V, it looks like.
So I haven't gotten any of these. I've cashed in a lot of these, but they're actually really rare. And if you go all the way down here, I think you will see that is the Cosmos from Xenoblade.
Oh wow.
So there's a guest character, at least one guest character in here.
So Matt, it seems like you have a lot of small, maybe not even small, issues with this game.
Yeah.
That have added up.
Yeah, well, for instance, okay, so narratively, I just think it's kind of creepy in a lot of ways, because all the blades are sort of their servants or their pets, and some of them are hot girls, and then you kind of have the obvious connection there. So the little guy there, he can't bond with a blade, because it's if you don't bond properly, it kills you or hurts you or something. So he built this one, the girl there, Poppy.
It's a robot.
It's a robot blade. So he built her. And when she she comes to life, and she's got this maid persona at first, and he's got a closet full of maid outfits for her, and Pyra, your blade here, she's all oh, that's weird, that's not cool, and I'm you are an indentured servant weapon persona dressed like a stripper who is later forced to cook for the whole party on a regular basis. And I'm the game's got a tone problem, okay? That just didn't exist in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. That wasn't a thing. And everyone's wearing the frickin' Final Fantasy X belt things and everything. There's no
I'm not a fan of the art style in this at all, really.
But that's the thing is the art style doesn't even stay, because no one's dressed like that in town.
Right.
It's I don't think it hangs together very well in that regard, and the story is very standard anime trope. I'll defend you, and we have to get her there because we're friends. There's a lot of chatter during the battles, because that's just
one thing I have
what
read
Xenoblade
about
does.
This though is that the game's story gets good at the end.
Well, it doesn't
at the 70 hour
it doesn't help
mark.
you 70 hours in. But it's there's a whole, because everybody else is kind of in a normal fantasy game, and we're all running around like we're about to head to Comic-Con. It's
this game is a good value though, right?
I mean, if
you spend $60, you're gonna get 80 to 90 hours out of it.
If you don't, there's also not really anything like it on the system. If the anime garbage doesn't bother you, you're golden, basically.
Yeah.
It does bother me, and even this is speaking as someone who, having now unpacked all my DVDs and Blu-rays, was wow, I have a lot of anime. But I'm very picky about that stuff. And what
was that? Is that flying it through the air there?
Oh no, that's the shadow of the windmill thing. The lighting in this is definitely. People were complaining that this runs at 720 a handheld or low.
I'm not surprised. By
low
that
handheld and 900, maybe 720 docked as well. I don't remember. I don't remember the digital foundry thing. But everyone's oh, it doesn't look any different from Xenoblade Chronicles X. No, the lighting in this is a big step up.
Yeah, you can tell.
There's a lot going on here with the lighting, and again, I don't think the world is as interesting in terms of geography, but it does look nice, and it's a
little rough.
It's a little rough, but it captures something. You know what I mean? The other thing that bugs me is you got the mini map there, right?
Yeah.
And if I hit the L3, you can see a larger map of the same area, which doesn't really help me that much. And if I click it again, it's gone. So that's the only map you have, unless if you want to see where something is in kind of the larger area you're in, you have to hit start. You have to go to the skip travel, fast travel. You got to figure out where you are. You got to hit that, and then you got to figure out what part of that area you're in, and then you can scroll through all this and see a larger map. That's how you get to any. That's the only map you have access to.
Wow.
And I'm
I have a feeling that might be patched.
I would think so. I just don't see the point of having to make me go through 4 screens to do that.
So you've played almost 20 hours of this. Do you think the reviews are off kilter here?
I just think a lot of people who reviewed this game don't mind the infiltration of the anime stuff the way I do. One of the reasons I love Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was it didn't have this stuff in it. It was a straight up, I mean, it had some of it, but it was like a straight up fantasy game that played everything pretty straight. Everybody looked like they fit in the world. Nobody looked like they escaped from an Xseed game from the PS3. Like, that's the other thing that bugs me. I mean, look, I'm not saying I haven't played those games. I'm pretty well versed in some of these things, and the whole Blade thing is played a little too close to the Revatail thing from the Tonelico series, and I know you don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah. Oh, I do actually. I mean,
but those were games on the PS3, and they were by Gust, I think,
no,
or they were
them.
something Xseed or something. But basically, the Revatails were like robot girls who were like the same thing. They helped you fight. And there was sort of a weird relationship building boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and you had to upgrade them with crystals, and like upgrading them with the crystals, inserting the crystals in them was basically played like straight up softcore porn. Yeah. That is not here, obviously, because it's Nintendo, but there is a lot of weird innuendo.
But do they
about that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Do they act like the two, like you and the Blade might get together?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of like
But are they real? They're not real people, right?
I mean, they're real things. I don't know what they haven't really gone into. I mean, the cat is a real talking magic cat, who, by the way, is voiced by Vesemir from The Witcher.
Oh, really?
And so he'll be like herbs restore a soul. Kind of. I'm just like, thanks, Vesemir. We're cool. Yeah, we got it.
Should people buy this, Matt?
I mean, what it is not bad, but it's like, I don't like the tone, and I don't like the art direction in comparison to the first game, which is what I'm comparing it to strongest. Because Xenoblade Chronicles X also had that going on, but I gave it kind of a slide because it was not it wasn't the mainstream, game. It was a side story kind of thing. It was a sci-fi thing more than fantasy. It was a completely different world. And it did the world thing very, very well. It felt like going to like Pandora or something from Avatar. It was like, wow, they really thought this place out, and it all hangs together. And I can't wait to see what's over that weird hill, and get my mech so I can jump up on top of those things and see the whole world from like laid out in front of me. And that's not here for me as much in this, not yet anyway. And I feel like at 20 hours in, I should have that if it's going to show up. And it's not bad. Like, I don't like, but it's just not. It's not a thing like the first game where like I would wake up in the morning and like I got to go turn Xenoblade on again.
Wow. Okay.
And that isn't here for me in this game. And it's like the worst thing is like for this game, I could literally, if I brought the Switch upstairs, I could literally just pull it off the nightstand and turn it on as soon as I woke up.
And you're not doing it.
I don't do that.
So it doesn't have that same draw as the prior games.
I think the move into kind of being like this more standard anime trope thing has soured it for me. And if that doesn't bother you, then I mean it's very recognizably Xenoblade.
If you're a solo Switch owner, you don't have any other platforms. Once you finish up Mario, you're already finished with Zelda probably, or maybe not, depending on what we're going to talk about next. But this may be a nice gap filler for you until the next big thing comes out, because the next big thing could be a ways away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like and that depends on your definition of big thing, really. I mean, if you want to call the next big thing like the frickin'
port of Smash Brothers.
Yoshi game, sure.
Yeah, no, the Yoshi and Kirby stuff do not fall into those.
Yeah, and there's little things you can like. I don't know if I have any. So these are like salvage points where like you use a cylinder and you play this little like QTE. There's a lot of QTE in this game. There's a little QTE thing, so that depending on how well you do on this.
What?
The better loot you find. So he's a salvager. That's his diving suit that he wears, and he'll come back up with a bunch of loot, and usually a treasure chest and like sometimes an enemy. And the one thing before you fight the enemy, you got to pick all this stuff up because it'll disappear during the fight.
Right. I hate that. I hate that about any game where the loot disappears.
And if you are if you're fighting a boss and there's a cutscene afterwards, you will automatically get all the loot at the end of the fight.
Oh, that's
good.
But
if the fight lasts too long, it can blink out of existence. So you got to keep your eye on that.
Just leave it there, man.
I know.
Like, it's so simple.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yeah. But that's how they did it.
All right. Well, thanks for the demo, Matt. I think my biggest question was like, how does the combat system work? Because I've watched trailers, I've even read articles about it, and
I'm not sure I've helped you there at all.
No, I think you did, definitely, without a doubt. I mean, but it's like I was saying earlier with the HUD, there's so much information on the screen.
I mean, the secret is I just don't look at most of it. I look at my arts and I look at my health and I just try to keep on top of it.
You know what you need to do to attack.
That's all it is.
All right. Well, thanks for the demo, Matt. So there you go, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 out on Switch right now. It's actually been out for like a week now. Would you recommend maybe people waiting for a price drop on that game?
I don't know. I mean, if
it is huge. I mean,
if you're unsure because of the change in tone and look, yeah, maybe wait. Because look, what you're looking at there, it's as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
If you're looking at that and be like, oh, I don't like how they all look like they're out of some kind of mid-2000s harem anime. Like, yeah, it is that. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of that weird, awkward, like wacky humor that doesn't like that you'd expect in like I don't know, like an Azumanga Daioh kind of thing, but like doesn't really fit into an epic fantasy quest sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just find it old. I mean, I've been watching stuff like that since Urusei Yatsura back in the 80s, and it's just like I've seen it, and it's not done particularly well here. And like the story of the world and how this is all kind of fitting together is more interesting, and I just haven't seen a lot of that yet because it's a little glacially paced, and especially if you're trying to do enough side quests to kind of like, because doing side quests levels up the area, which lets you buy more things. And actually, if you level up the area enough that you can buy all the things in a store, one of each thing, at least once of each thing that a store sells, you can then buy a deed that makes you own the store. And the deed will give you some special bonus, like in gameplay. So, like one of the stores I own gives me, I think it's like a couple feet extra radius of pickup ability. So I can pick up coins and loot like a little further away than I could before for buying that. So there's like a lot of stuff like that, and like to get that up to that level, and also to get better prices, you complete side quests, talk to people, discover fast travel locations, and it levels up areas, development levels it calls. So there is incentive to explore, but at the same time, that takes a while. Like some of these side quests are like, bring me 5 winding gears. Well, like those winding gears, you get them through that salvage mini game I just did, which like
you'll have to play it like 100 times to get.
Well, I was save scumming it because like you can only afford so many of the cylinders that let you do that. So I would buy them and I'd save and I'd jump, and if I didn't get a winding gear, I'd reload. And there is no way to reload the save. You have to quit the app and then start it again from the menu, which is actually really fast because it's a cartridge, so it's not that bad.
Right.
But there's a lot of that going on, or at least early on before I could afford anything. And actually doing that long enough actually got me enough, because you can sell loot or you can wait for the loot to complete sets and sell them to this like other vendor. And some of the sets are worth like 20,000 gold, and like you're talking about picking up 5 gold at a time, so that's a lot of gold.
Yeah.
But it's like there's been a lot of stuff like that, and so the story is very drawn out at this point. I don't know, like it's not on the level of the first game in any sense, and it is not on the level of Xenoblade Chronicles X in terms of giving you a world to kind of run around and explore and discover, to mitigate the fact that you have to go back to town and deal with all this anime crap. But at least it doesn't have that weird soundtrack from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like that, the music in Xenoblade Chronicles X was ready. I was ready to rip the speaker out of the TV at a certain point. And the music in this is actually really good. It's by Mitsuda. So the soundtrack's great. If you don't buy the game, maybe pick up the soundtrack.